her off and Doug, I'm sorry.
Do we have access to the slides for that presentation?
Miss Heidi?
Otherwise, they start on page 10, I think, of the packet.
Yep.
Last meeting, you guys asked for a little update, and then had a few specific questions, but I do have just a general, broad level presentation that and information that I've been given to some of the committees. We've been before the EDA, Planning Commission, and Parks Committee. And so if it's all right with you, I'll just run through those slides quick. I'm sure it's probably a review for most everybody, but we'll just run through them. And then those questions we can address at the end. Next slide, Heidi. What is the comprehensive plan? Starting from the broad level, it is a vision for the future, decision-making guide, basis for policy and zoning. It's flexible and adaptive. It is not a zoning ordinance, which is inflexible, doesn't adapt well. It's regulatory in nature. So it's not those things. It doesn't get specific in scope. It stays at a higher level that talks more in generalities. It gets to that basis for the policy, not the policy itself. And it's not the only planning tool that the county uses to set policy and chart its future. So next slide.
I was just wondering if we could make that bigger versus having the stuff on the side. I've got pretty good eyes, but I can't read that little print right there.
Heidi, are you able to maximize the screen?
I am not able to do that. I'm sorry.
Okay, and if you want, again, maybe it might be bigger in your packet to follow along with the hard copy as well. So general plan organization, we start with a vision, an existing conditions analysis, goal setting, development of plan elements or areas of interest, and then policy areas under each one of those. And then, of course, an implementation plan. So there's tools usually at the end or included in the chapters for implementing the plan. And then, each of those implementation tools usually has its own process. Could include capital improvement programs, zoning code updates, master plans, et cetera. Next slide, Heidi. Again, why do we plan? Changes in ag practices, local, state, and federal policy updates, economic drivers, demographics, public sentiment, all these things can lead to changes in plans and the need to reevaluate moving forward. Next slide. There are legal bases for it as well. A zoning ordinance in sync with the comp plan is a more defendable ordinance. If you're not in sync or not aligned, you can be challenged. Your zoning ordinance regulations can be challenged. And some of your other policies don't have a solid footing either. Minnesota statutes 394 is the county zoning standards, kind of enabling language. I think 462 is city and town language, but for us it's 394, and just states that we're allowed to plan, and if we're going to have a zoning ordinance, we have to have a comprehensive plan as a basis. And then it also includes a time frame for a 10-year horizon for review as well. Next slide. There's more reasons than just those to plan. Provide opportunity for citizen input and participation and county decision making. Public engagement is a huge piece of a comprehensive plan. We also are wanting to integrate new data, identify issues and stay ahead of trends, accommodate that change that we spoke about. addressing for a rural community, conservation of land and agricultural land and natural resources, kind of a balance between those things in development, and then also protecting property rights. Next slide. History of Winona County land use planning. Those enabling statutes were passed by the state in the 1960s. And most counties followed suit with planning processes in the late 60s and adoption of first ordinances and plans in 1969, 1970. Subsequent plans after that initial planning process were in 1985, 2001, and 2013 were adoption years. As you can see, after that initial date, I mean, the first two were about 15 years apart, but then it's been right around 10 years for the last, between the last two. Next slide. Plan elements, these are from that we've developed. I should back up a little bit. We're really building off the existing plan, so we're not looking to expand the elements of the plan. We'll be building off those, although these look a little bit different. We're looking to try to reorganize the existing plan into some different categories that are more common in plans and are more easily identifiable. That's where these preliminary plan elements came from. Of course, those will need to be reviewed, and steering committees and county board will be able to weigh in on those as well. As well as the public. We did have a question recently about public engagement, and a planning process is really front end loaded with public engagement. So we'll be getting out into the community on the front end to inform, the direction of the plan. Next slide. So good segue into public engagement. Just generally, the strategy would be to have significant outreach to the townships, different opportunities for people, and different ways of communicating to participate. So there'll be online options, also in-person stakeholder meetings with smaller groups that are identified, and probably some more public kind of open house opportunities, and potentially some pop-up events as well. Again, goals to provide a variety of opportunities to provide input and create meaningful opportunities for input as well. Next slide. A preliminary timeline for you. RFP was posted on October 9th, and it was open for 45 days, closed November 15th. We're currently reviewing proposals, and we put together a review committee that will be reviewing, scoring, and coming up with a proposal to send to the county board for approval, probably in January. Well, that's the goal anyways. That review is going well. I can tell you that the proposals that we got, there's 7 of them. They're all very well qualified and good proposals. And so it does take a bit of effort to go through with a fine-tooth comb and find the ones that we think are best for the county. County board approval of the professional services contract would be hopefully in January, with the idea of kicking off the plan for the public maybe in March. Of course, we'll see how it goes, but that would be our goal. And then I like a 1-year planning process and adoption in March of 2026. Hopefully we can stay on target reasonably well there. Next slide, Heidi. I think that might be the last one. I guess any questions on those slides?
Chris?
Yeah, the strategy slide. Outreach to townships. Are you gonna hold meetings in the townships? Are you thinking that supervisors?
It'll probably
In
be,
general, maybe every bullet point on there, the 1, 2, 3, 4, just a little more detail.
there will be we'll develop a public engagement plan. So there will be a fleshed out document for how we're going to go about that. Hopefully that'll come, maybe it'll be, put together in collaboration with like a steering committee. So it might be in like March, April timeframe. But in general, it'll be different ways. So there might be public meetings that we might ask the townships to, or the township officers to host. We'll probably do focus groups or, smaller meetings with individuals, individual townships, or groups thereof. Could be many different ways to reach out to them.
Sorry, Chris, were you done?
Nope, not quite done.
Okay, absolutely.
But you're welcome to jump in, Josh. The steering committee, so I haven't been through the process before. I wasn't here 10 years ago, or whatever, 20 years ago, however long it was. So the steering committee, I'm interested to know, like, even just the one that's currently looking at the proposals. And then a steering committee related to the plan. Is it made up of the public? Is it made up of internal, like employee staff?
There'll be a mixture thereof. The current review committee is internal.
Yeah, okay.
And I can tell you it's Marcia, since she's a county board as well as planning commission representative. It's Maureen, Dave Kramer, Doug Thieslak, myself, and Olivia from our office. Steering committee is broader, although we don't want it to be too large. We've gotten a lot of feedback from folks that were involved last time around. They thought that the steering committee was a little bit unwieldy with the number of people that we had. So we'd be trying to keep it closer to 10, maybe maximum of 15. But that would be a broader subset of the population, some electeds. There might be additional staff above the 10 to 15, but people from different areas of the county geographically and with backgrounds, different backgrounds. People who are preferably well known, who people can look at and be like, oh, I know that person, can trust in their judgment. Hopefully, leaders from the community. Those types of people.
So it's not just the planning commission or the planning commission plus, it's really a separate group.
Separate group, yes. And yeah. And I just kind of riff off that. Your specific role at the county board would be to number one, approve the budget, which has already been done. Number two, approve contract. Number three, with the consultant. Number three, appoint steering committee. And then number four would be plan approval at the end. Of course, with updates along the way and opportunities to provide input into the process. But those are the 4 points where you have decisions to be made.
And what was the budget we approved?
It was, well, what's in the RFP and what we're shooting for is 150,000.
For total or just for the consultant?
For the consultant, the total budget, I believe, was 187. 178.
Thanks.
Josh, go ahead. And just, Lou, for more so for your sake, at 5:45 or soon after, we'll be transitioning to a community health board meeting.
Sure.
Josh.
So that's where I was headed, is just looking at, well, first question I have is, and again, I obviously was not here for the last one, but just how much community involvement do we really get setting this? Is this something that is highly contested, highly attended, highly anything, or is it really, we've got to kind of go out and go fishing?
We'll definitely do some fishing, but hopefully people are interested and will engage with us. So there'll be online like surveys, as well as maybe some pop-up events like the county fair comes to mind, and we'll probably identify other opportunities where people are already gathering, and we can kind of take advantage of people being in a place, and so they don't have to come out
We
just
don't see
to.
an outcry of, township people going, hey, I've got to, you really got to kind of go out and find this information. Part of what I'm trying to figure out is a few things is $187,000 to adopt, what are we really going to change in the plan? Do we anticipate a lot of changes in this plan? Are we rubber stamping? There's a lot of coin to throw out there without a whole lot of public. I could see if a lot of public engagement, and boy, this thing is complex and we've got a lot of changing and blew up a hillside and we got something's different, but I just don't see a whole lot changing in this. I guess, if I was a business looking to compete to get $150,000, I'd be pretty competitive too, knowing there might not be a whole lot they got to do. So my question is do we need to spend $150,000, or can we make it competitive and say, can you accomplish this for less money? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Sure.
Because I don't see a public outcry. I don't think anybody's come to me and said, hey, we need to change the comp plan. I think there's some mild amendments maybe that could happen to it. Is this possible that potentially we could save 2/3 of a levy point, or we could save a portion of that and say, hey, we could, some of this we could be doing internally. But again, I go back and say, if there's an outcry, if it's a well-attended thing, if this is something that a lot of people want to have a lot of input, I could see where the time could get burnt up and we could have some money in this scenario. So I'm just trying to understand the need for the 150. 178, and is it the best way to use the taxpayers' money if the taxpayer is really not saying, hey, much needs to get changed? But you see where I'm going? I'm just trying to play a little devil's advocate.
I hear you loud and clear. And as far as time goes, we're about 10:02. How do you want to proceed with the conversation?
Marcia, did you want to ask a question too, or make a statement?
Thank you. Technology is challenging here. My iPad won't hook up, but I do have my phone. Josh expressed some of my concerns is that, seriously, do we need to spend 150, 180,000 on an update? I would like to take a step back. I saw all the proposals, and they're within dollars of each other. So it's kind of a pat thing when you do an these companies do this for other counties. I would rather see us take a step back and do a small citizen review of what we have and what they feel we need to change. I don't need a bunch of stranger consultants coming in and telling me what I need to do in Winona County. I think we need to. So I'm not for spending this kind of money on a simplified update is what I would refer to it as. Thank you.
Thank you, Marcia. Josh?
And this is just purely for me to understand, are we under an obligation to have to do it this year? I noticed there's some different time lapses in the past. There's some longer periods. Looks like we're falling on exactly 10 years and fall into 11 years. Yeah, I'm not saying not to do it or it doesn't need to get done. I'm just trying to make sure that, hey, is now the time to be doing it? Is there something that I don't know? Can we kick the can down? Marcia had a good point. Again, I'm just trying to really understand.
Can we maybe continue the conversation?
Is that okay? If we can,
100%.
Can we move it to?
It wasn't rhetorical, but it was like a thought process,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, 100%.
So we'll move it to the next committee of the board discussion.
Perfect.
Thank you, Lou.
Thank you very much for the
Thank you.
update, Lou. Yeah, that was good.
Good discussion. Marcia, are you able to lead the community health board agenda?
I'm sorry, Commissioner Vagley, I'm kind of cutting in and out here. Could you lead that? I think it's a fairly simple agenda, please.
Absolutely. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
With that, we'll call to order the Winona Community Health Board meeting. The first item on the agenda is 2.1 to approve the minutes from the November 26th meeting.
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion by Commissioner Olson, again ahead. Second by Commissioner Meyer. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Need to do roll call.
I apologize. So what we'll do is, because we have one commissioner remote, we have to go through and do roll call. Commissioner Meyer?
Aye.
Commissioner Olson?
Aye.
I vote yes.
Aye.
Commissioner Ward?
Aye.
Motion passes. The next item on the agenda is 3.1, Winona County Community Health Board Chairperson. Commissioner Ward, I think that's you. It's a chairperson's report, correct?
Yes, thank you. Nothing in particular. We do have a shack meeting coming up on a week from today, Thursday, and we'll probably get some updates from the state at that meeting. But it wasn't an aggressive agenda. It was a lot of updates from work groups and everything. So that should cover that. Thank you.
Absolutely. Anything else from Ms. Holte or Emily? Okay, the next item on the agenda is 4.1, appoint Emily Volkman as agent of the Community Health Board.
Move to approve item 4.1.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Meyer, seconded by Commissioner Olson. Any other discussion? Cool. We'll do a roll call vote then. Commissioner Meyer?
Aye.
Commissioner Olson?
Aye.
I vote yes.
Aye.
Commissioner Elsing. Commissioner Ward?
Yes, aye. Yes.
Okay, motion 5-0. Are there any other items, Emily or Commissioner Ward, for general business? I don't think I see anything.
I have nothing, Commissioner Vagley.
Any other commissioners? Nothing. All right.
To adjourn.
All right. Second. Motion by Commissioner Meyer, seconded by Commissioner Elsing. Is that also a roll call? Okay, Commissioner Meyer.
Aye.
Commissioner Olson.
Aye.
I vote yes. Commissioner Elsing. Commissioner Ward.
Aye.
Right. Okay. We will adjourn the Community Health Board. They're not usually that quick. Good evening, everyone. So we'll begin, and just for the audience, present and online, there's going to be two opportunities to address the county board. The first is the public comment section. This is not the public hearing for the truth in taxation and the hearing on the 2025 budget, fee schedule, and transportation sales tax projects. That'll come a little bit later. So there are two opportunities. The public comment section is an opportunity for the board, either present or online. If you would like to address the county board, come up to the microphone. Please state your first and last name and your address. Everyone will have 2 minutes to speak. There are timers on the screens. If you are online, just at some point, just speak up, and then we'll make time for you as well. So again, this first public comment section is not the public hearing regarding the 2025 budget, fee schedule, and transportation sales tax. That'll come a little bit later. Having said that, would anyone like care to address the county board tonight on any matters? Would anyone online care to address the county board? I'll ask 2 more times, and it can be on any topic. Anyone present like to address the county board? I'll ask one last time. Anyone present or online that would like to address the county board? Seeing no one, I will close the public comment section. That then takes us down to item 5, which is to approve 2 different sets of county board minutes. One, they're actually both from November 26th.
I'll move to approve 5.1 and 5.2.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Meyer, seconded by Commissioner Elsing. Any other discussion? Because we have one of our commissioners joining us remotely, we have to go through every vote and do a roll call vote. I'll start with Commissioner Ward this time.
Aye. I move to approve. Yes, aye.
Commissioner Elsing.
Aye.
I will vote yes. Commissioner Olson.
Aye.
Commissioner Meyer.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. The next item on the agenda is to acknowledge the receipt of the Planning Commission minutes from October 17th.
So move. Second.
Motion by Commissioner Elsing, seconded by Commissioner Olson. Any other discussion? We'll do a roll call vote. Commissioner Ward?
Aye.
Commissioner Elsing?
Aye.
I will vote yes. Commissioner Olson?
Aye.
Commissioner Meyer?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Next, consent, comments, and approval of the agenda. First, let's go through and do comments. Commissioner Ward?
Nothing tonight. Thank you.
Commissioner Elsing?
Nothing myself either.
Commissioner Olson?
Nothing for me.
Commissioner Meyer?
Yep, have a comment?
a comment? Okay, when it comes to the agenda, Ms. Holte, correct me if I missed anything. There have been two, there was the original agenda that was sent out, and then there were two other revisions made to it. The first revisions were to add, there was a note, a placeholder note about, starting on page 63 regarding the budget updates. And then on page 240, is that correct? A small change was added to the per diems for the advisory committees. The dollar amount was not changed. We just added the newest advisory committee, which is the Veterans Advisory Committee. So those are two changes that were made.
Move to approve the agenda.
Excuse me?
Mhm.
We also have the modification to the fee schedule that was before you when you arrived today. And the clarification that is on page 83 of the Sheriff's Department area to change the fingerprints from $10 to $20. So we are asking that that be part of the discussions today too.
Thank you. Well, there was a motion by Commissioner Meyer. Was there a second? We'll discuss it.
To approve the agenda.
Yeah, to approve the agenda.
Yeah, and I second just with one question.
Okay, absolutely. So with the discussion, Commissioner Elsing?
I just was on 8.3, I didn't want to pull this, but can we have, is that a current employee?
Yes.
Okay, I thought so, but I wasn't sure. So, okay, and I was going to ask you about that, but thank you.
So motion by Commissioner Meyer, seconded by Commissioner Elsing. Any other discussion? So we'll begin the roll call vote. Commissioner Ward?
Aye.
Commissioner Elsing?
Aye.
I will vote yes. Commissioner Olson? Aye. Commissioner Meyer?
Aye.
Motion carries to approve the agenda. Next, we need a motion to approve. I'm sorry, Ms. Holte, can you read the consent items into the record?
Yes. 8.1, approve conditional use permit for Lance and Christine Lessig. 8.2, approve amended non-union wage grid 2024. 8.3, approve interim assessor appointment of Lindsay Brandt. 8.4, approve elected official retirees 2025 benefits resolution. 8.5, approve 2025 funding for aquatic invasive species management by Soil and Water Conservation District and accept 2025 AIS prevention plan. 8.6, approve trading in Bushmaster AR rifles for purchase of clock pistols with optics to offset cost of new pistols. And 8.7, confirm payment of disbursements.
I'll move to approve the consent agenda, business as it was read.
Second. Motion by Commissioner Meyer, seconded by Commissioner Olson. Any other discussion? We'll then begin with a roll call vote. Commissioner Ward?
Aye.
Commissioner Elsing?
Aye.
I will vote yes. Commissioner Olson? Aye. Commissioner Meyer?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. That brings us then down to item 9.1, which is to conduct a public hearing on the 2025 budget, 2025 fee schedule, and the transportation sales tax projects. As we begin this portion of tonight's meeting, there are usually people in the audience, and very understandably so, who have some questions regarding the valuation or the assessments of their, of their properties. This is not the location to have, or the venue for that discussion. If any of you would like to talk about how your property was assessed, there is a phone number out.
It's on that sheet.
It's on this sheet of paper. And so far, we have one person who would like to address the county board. You don't need to have signed up. This was just outside. You are also welcome to address the county board, even if you hadn't. The first person that we had on the sheet of paper is Pat Moga.
Do you want me to move to open the
Need to
public?
open.
I
Yeah,
apologize,
I'll move
yes.
to open the public hearing.
Second. Any other discussion? Roll call vote. Commissioner Ward?
Aye.
Commissioner Elsing?
Aye.
I vote yes. Commissioner Olson?
Aye.
Commissioner Meyer?
Aye.
Right. We'll officially commence the public hearing. I apologize. Now, Mr. Moga.
Good evening, everyone. Pat Moga, 1810 Garvin Heights Road, Winona, Minnesota. I'm just coming here because, again, my taxes are going up and it went up last year. And I kind of went through the budget and I thought there were some things that might be helpful to bring that tax levy down. I've actually shared some of that stuff with staff. The one thing that I was going to talk about is one of the items, and I've got a few and I'll go through because I only have 2 minutes. The first one was about the 4 positions that won't cost any money. We did actually add a position last year that wasn't supposed to cost any money. And actually it costed us about $400,000. And I thought, I know things actually occur where, and if you want to look, that's on page 86. I know things occur because they could be one-time expenses. So I thought the budget in 25 would be less, but actually if you look from 24 to 25, the budget is actually going up 800,000 in the out-of-home placement area. So I just wanted to bring that to some attention and thought, you know, on that one. So I'm, you know, and there are reports that you can run that basically can help you with that piece. I also wanted to talk about the debt. I think the debt at this point is the sales tax is low. I think based on the percentage that we're getting off the 0.5%, I think you could go to 1.5 in that area, which I know doesn't help because it basically is all debt. But there is a thing that you need to, that I was just going to reference on page 125, 26, 27, and 132. Your transfers of funds don't actually, you're transferring out more funds than you're bringing in. If you add your 3 funds, in your debt, you're transferring $1.4 million, and you only have 1.3 in your sales tax to actually transfer. So if you bring that dollar up, it's going to help you, and it's also going to help your budget. But you can look at that. I have a total here. I think it was 1.445, and you had 1.3. Also, I just wanted to mention that, and I'm kind of jumping all over, that on page 53, there is no money for E911 revenue, and there's about $200,000 of E911 revenue. The investments, I mean, you can kind of go here or there, but I thought that would be an area that could possibly be increased also a little bit. Let's see.
Pat, could you hold on for a second? Considering the audience doesn't look to as big as we sometimes have, would the board be okay if we made the time period 3 minutes each, or should we keep it at 2 minutes? Because Mr. Moga's time has run up, but.
Oh, is it? Okay.
No worries. I just want to check one with the board. Should we keep it at 2 minutes, or should we consider more time?
I would consider more time. He's got some valuable insight.
So what we'll do, I apologize, Heidi, this is something that none of us asked you ahead of time.
She's working it.
Yeah,
There she
perfect,
goes.
awesome. Go ahead, Pat, thank you.
Okay. Let's see. The other thing that I was just going to mention also, and I know that you got this, the budget isn't done, but it's not refined. There's a new piece of debt that you're looking at purchasing, and you're putting it into a fund that already is a fund for the jail, and you really don't want to commingle those because there's money remaining there. And that's the other thing is, I think with talking about how the sales tax, you could adjust your sales tax, you will have, and that'll help your levy, is that there's also, you're going to have some funds remaining from these jail funds that should be able to help pay back the debt. So I think that you'll have, $100,000 that could also be used of rollover dollars. I think the other thing, there's some places I noticed that you didn't have expenses, which then means you are basically, you're basically going to be short yourself. If you're looking at your levy, like in safe and sober, there's not those usually end up that you want to have it that equals 0, and there's no expenses in your safe and sober grant. And some of your forfeiture funds under auditor treasurer, under the attorney and also under the sheriff's office don't have an expense. So basically you're showing the revenue coming in, which means that you're asking for less revenue, less levy. But overall, I mean, and then the other thing is, and like I said, I brought some of these attentions. We didn't cover all of them. The opioid grant doesn't have any expenses in it, no revenues either. I think it does have a negative $1 in there. And let's see. Oh, the last piece I was just going to mention also is, I know there's a piece of bond that you're looking to go to bond for. And the one thing that you might find that when you're going to be bonding, your rate might be higher this year because you don't have your audit done and they're going to look at it as a high risk. But I mean, that's neither here nor here, but the budget, but just wanted to mention is that, that was one thing. And, you know, I think I saw that the 200,000 is really for, I'm thinking there's an item in there for $2 million and that's the payback. But those are some of the things. If you guys have any questions, let me know and I can share those with you. But I also thought by doing some of these things, you might be able to bring your levy down where you were talking of the lower side of it versus the higher, the range of the 3 to 5.
Good, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moga. Anyone else care to address the county board this evening? And Heidi, if we could start off at 3 minutes. Anybody else care to address the county board? Anyone online that would like to address the county board?
That's your 3 times?
We'll do one more time. Anyone present or online that would like to address the county board regarding the 2025 budget? Or there's three items. The fee schedule and the transportation sales tax projects. With that, we'll close.
I'll move to close the public hearing.
Thank you.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Meyer, seconded by Commissioner Olson to close the public hearing. Any other discussion? So we'll begin the roll call vote. Commissioner Ward?
Aye.
Commissioner Elsing?
Aye.
I will vote yes. Commissioner Olson?
Aye.
Commissioner Meyer?
Aye.
Motion passes. So we have closed the public hearing. The next item is 9.2, discuss approve the SEMCRA special benefit tax levy resolution and approve the budget for fiscal year 2025. I believe I missed.
Commissioner Vagley, before we move on to that item, with these items brought to our attention, what is the timeline for us to scrutinize these and determine the final budget? And I guess I need guidance from like Ms. Holte or Mr. Elliott.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Ward, 12/20, December 20th is the final vote on the 25 budget and the property tax levy. And we're continuing to work on and refine and adjust the budget every day. We've made adjustments to it just since the meeting on the 26th, so there's more to be done. At some point, we're going to have to put our pencils down and, you know, adopt the budget. Some of the things are material, some of them are not. Most of what was covered just now, I've discussed with the previous finance director, so I'll take a look. I always approach these things with conservatism, meaning I always estimate low on revenue, I estimate high on expense. So that's my philosophy. I tend to stick with it. So
Okay.
everything that, the adjustments I've made, I've always done it with that in mind.
Okay, and I
Welcome.
do appreciate you did send out some of the things I had asked last time. So can you give us, before the 20th, can you give us another little update like you did where we're making adjustments? I think it would be greatly appreciated from my stance.
Yeah. it really
My
does.
email?
Yep, by email.
Yeah, email is fine.
I can do that. And I didn't get a chance to previously, but as of like today and what you may have seen in the memo is that the levy sits at right around 4% based upon the adjustments that we made from the last meeting. So it's getting very, very close to that 3.76 that we had previously discussed.
Okay, and I also read the headlines and I see the state of Minnesota is not in as good a picture as they thought they would be. So I think we all need to be very, very conservative. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Ward. Did you want?
Just a quick cut.
Yep.
Yeah, same, just, agreeing with Commissioner Ward, I think we're going to potentially see a lot of this funding for these programs dry up as we move into new sessions. I mean, that's basically every news article out there is pointing towards that. So I think we got to realize that we might get stuck hanging onto the ball here in some of these things if we're not careful. So I think we've got to really scrutinize where some of this money is going to come from if there's some sort of expectation to fund something. So.
All right, any other discussion? All right, then we'll move on to 9.2. Thank you, Ms. Baranik, for joining us.
Good evening, Buffy Baranik, Semtra Executive Director. I'm here to discuss and hopefully approve the 2025 levy for the HRA. 126,927 was the preliminary levy that was set in September. We have not changed that number coming in for our final request. It is made up of all parts that we have discussed previously and very consistent with the HRA request in prior years. We have 57,427 for our general fund, which is about a 3.2% increase over last year. 15,000 for our housing developments in Lewiston that is tied to the bonds. 10,000 for housing stabilization and preservation, and that's community development work that we do, our small cities grants that we're writing, and our we've already earmarked a couple of cities, but we haven't talked with them, so I don't want to, but we're working on that very closely for 2025-26 funding. $4,500 for the Housing Trust Administration. That is to have the Housing Trust Fund for us to just set it up and operationalize it. $15,000 for the SAHA Administration. That is funding that's coming down from the state, 23 and 24. I do believe we have board approval that Semtra will be administering those funds next year. That represents about 7.5% administration fee on those. That's for program administration of those dollars. SAHA dollars, just a reminder, do not allow us to take any administration. That's why we're including it as part of our levy. I would expect that that will go down if the SAHA dollars go down. And then 25,000 for Housing Trust Fund. That's direct levy to fund the Housing Trust Fund. And within that, we're not asking for any administration because we can't, once it's put into the Housing Trust Fund, we can use that up to 10% for administration of programs. I'll pause there and see if there's any questions.
Any questions from the county board
Yeah,
commissioners?
Commissioner Vagley, yes, please.
Board, please.
Ms. Baranik, this housing trust fund at the $25,000, if a project or something doesn't get done or use that particular amount, will that be rolled over till next year?
Yes, it is your money. I'm just administering it on behalf of the county's behalf.
Okay, all right. All right, thank you.
Commissioner Elsing.
So would that, in essence, if it doesn't get used, offset the levy funding for the following year?
I would say no, and I'll just say that because last year we levied 45,500. We do not receive those funds until June and December. So our philosophy is Semtra is not going to use their funds, their general fund, to upfront that. So I now have $45,500 of levy dollars, as soon as I get my check from Chuck, to administer next year. That 25,000 will be actually spent in 2026. So there's like a 1-year lag, and that's just historically how we've done it with the housing trust funds.
Commissioner Elsing.
But it would still lead to, if something wasn't spent, it just would carry over into the next
Correct.
year, correct? So
Yep.
what I'm saying is that, arguably, if something wasn't spent in any given year, regardless of when the funding source came from, arguably it could offset a levy in the following year if it wasn't set. Because now we're just stacking dollars, correct?
I want to be careful with that one, just because once it goes into the housing trust fund, it has to be used for the housing trust fund. You can't put the $25,000 in and say, oh, Buffy, you didn't spend that. Use that to fund your $57,427.
Right, but we could offset the levy because the money would already be sitting there and never got, instead of just continuing to fund and put more and more into it.
If you,
Because 25,000 is part of the 126, so let's just say only 10,000 got spent. Arguably next year, we could say, well, 15,000 might off from the 126,927 because we didn't even spend that. We just keep taking it from the taxpayer, even though we're not using it. I'm just trying to make sure that we're not just throwing money into a pot, the pot's building,
yeah. You could always offset I would feel comfortable saying you can always offset the portion of our levy that is related to the housing trust fund
Correct.
that is not spent.
to the unspent funds.
Correct.
That's exactly what I was
Yeah.
alluding to.
Yep.
Yeah. So as of right now, how much unspent funds do we have that are not going towards that?
$45,500 that we levied in 2024 that will be spent in 2025.
Anything else?
No, I'm just trying to understand the process.
I'll move to approve item 9.2, the SEMSHA special benefit tax levy at the rate that is in our packet, which is 126,967.
127.
967.
67. 126, 967?
We have
It's
two conflicting numbers.
it's
You're right.
27.
I was
The
looking at
bottom
the one at the
number
bottom.
it says 67. It's 27.
927, okay.
They played it over here.
At the amount bolded under uses of funds.
There is a motion. Is there a second? Second. Motion by Commissioner Meyer, seconded by Commissioner Olson. Any other further discussion?
Commissioner Ward.
Commissioner,
Question, Commissioner Vagley. Are we earning interest on that money? Are those in interest-bearing accounts?
Yes.
yeah, Commissioner Ward.
So that goes to SEMSHA or does that go to Winona County?
That goes to the Housing Trust Fund.
Okay, okay, so there it is.
Technical accounting.
All right, make money with money. Thank you.
Commissioner Ward, any other questions,
Well,
comments?
I'm not sold on all this housing trust fund and everything, especially with the way the economy's going. Just an interesting sidelight here in the metro area. Somebody was looking at a house and it was affordable housing. It was set up for low income people. It had been a house that had been totally remodeled, very nicely done and everything. But you buy the house, but you don't buy the land. The land is owned by the Housing Trust Fund and you pay $30 a month lease. I don't know if that's something that we need to look at in our neck of the woods or not, but I had not experienced that kind of operation. And maybe we need to look at something like that to make quote affordable housing. But
Commissioner Ward, Mr. Baranik, I think Mr. Bamanik have a comment, a response to that. Ms. Baranik.
We have that. We're doing that. We actually did it in the South Fork Housing TIF District. We're doing another one over in Dodge County right now with Housing Trust Fund dollars as well.
okay, so who's owning the land then? SEMSHA?
No,
City?
it's First Homes out of Rochester that actually has the land trust.
Okay, all right. Well, I guess, yeah, now that you point that out. Okay, all right. So maybe Winona County needs to look at something like that. I don't know.
Let you more additional information.
She just provided the information that I was going to let you know about.
Perfect.
We'll also mention that in our annual report as well.
Awesome. Thank you.
Just start, we've had that in place. And
Take a mic.
there's increased interest now.
Thank you. Ms. Baranik, can you summarize what Mr. Bamanik just said for
Marcia
the
couldn't.
Basically, we have been using land trusts for 20 years. We have a land trust in the St. Charles TIF District, and it's something that hasn't been utilized a lot in the last 10 years, but it's coming back.
Thank you. Commissioner Elsing.
What is it just purely to save cost?
Yes.
That's it?
You're mortgaging less as a homeowner. You don't own the land, you own the house. You're just renting the land that house is on.
I will say the one concern is that you aren't building the same kind of wealth that you would.
That's where I'm at.
Yeah, that's
No,
what I've heard is
arguably,
the issue.
So that's where I was going, is arguably if we're taking taxpayers' funds, including right out of my pocket, you're grabbing dollar bills right out of my pocket to help somebody else do something. I argue that one of the benefits is, yeah, it's nice to have a roof over your head, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, it is an asset if done correctly, that a person can work their way out of that. But, perhaps, I look at it a little bit like trailer lot rent, and things like that, where we know there's a significant devalue there. So is there any long-term study on the value of these houses 20, 30, 40 years out doing that? Does it tend to?
I don't have that, but I could probably get that information for you. I would say this is one aspect on the entire housing continuum. There isn't one solution. And this is one piece that fits some of the people that need homes. I would gather that potentially the individual in a trailer park may not be able to afford the land trust. And that land trust individual can't afford the home right next door where they have to buy the lot. But all three of those can afford to own something. And if well taken care of, one would think that there would be appreciation in that. And they're not living in an apartment.
Interesting. So,
Spectrum.
Good discussion, something to keep in the background. Thank you.
Commissioner Elsie.
so what's the increase from last year? Is this an increase?
This is a decrease.
It's a decrease from last year.
Any other discussion? So we'll begin the roll call vote. Commissioner Ward,
Aye.
Commissioner Elsie.
Aye.
I will vote yes. Commissioner Olson.
Aye.
Commissioner Meyer.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Thank you, Ms. Burr.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That then takes us down to item 9.3, discuss/adopt resolution regarding the commissioner's 2025 salaries. A little background, I believe the commissioner, there's information in the packet, including how the commissioner's salaries paid compared to other, these are comparable size counties, right? Et cetera. Well, you will see quite a range. And just for the public's general knowledge, has it been 14 years, 13 years since the county board, 13 years since the county board has given itself a raise? And I realize this is always a sensitive topic for law, any kind of office holder to talk about their own salaries. With that in mind, would someone care to make a motion, and then we'll open up for discussion?
I'll move to keep the salaries the same as they have been. 23669.
So is that option, is it option B?
A.
A. A motion made to keep it as is. Is there a second?
I'll second.
I'll second.
Motion by Commissioner Meyer, seconded by Commissioner Olson. Further discussion.
Just one comment.
Commissioner Olson.
I think this is, it's always noble to work cheap and free. But I think one of the things that I don't plan on being this board forever. So I know my property taxes are twice that. So this year in tech isn't for me to put a few bucks in my pocket. When I say this, it's more than twice what we get paid, just what I pay in this county alone. So this isn't for me to try to make a buck, but one of the issues that I see coming, owning a business, trying to attract people, even getting asked to sit on this board. I would say the amount of money I've probably lost sitting on this board by all means doesn't even make up remotely for that salary. That's not why I'm here. I enjoy government. But I think we also have to be careful, and I brought this up last year, because eventually Winona County is going to make a headline, and we think we're noble by not keeping up with part of the enticement. I see a shift in culture too that's happening, and part of we evaluate jobs by not only just what the position has for a physical input or output, but also as we see social media, social presence becoming more and more popular with that information. We're not seeing people want to sign up for these boards. We're not seeing people want to get on these committees. And I believe part of that is the scrutiny that comes with it. And so the ability to attract good candidates to sit on this board, and I'm not saying I'm the best candidate or even a good candidate, but I am a candidate, and then here I sit. I think we have to keep up with this. And again, it's not because I'm going to need another $5,000 or $10,000 for Josh Helsing to make it. It's really about the attraction and keeping it competitive, and the desire and the willingness to want to do it. And as we see that public scrutiny, we just have so much more information and the ability to scrutinize people quicker and faster, and in some cases even more heinous. So I don't personally believe it's noble to continue to not, in some sense, use a financial or monetary system to engage people into public office, boards, things like that. It has to be worth their while. And again, I stated this last year when I didn't even know what the salary was when I got asked. I don't think I asked 6 months later. It really didn't matter to me, but I do see it as an issue to other people. So I think we need to be careful because we're going to make a national headline one way or the other. Winona County can't find anybody to run for these offices, or Winona County had to vote for a 100% increase on their salaries just to get somebody to come do this job, because frankly, it's more than what I thought it was going to be. So as noble as it is to vote no every time, financially, it's not wise. We talk about trying to keep stable levies, and at some point, if we've got to make large jumps year after year, I think that it's on an attractiveness and what a due diligence to our constituents and taxpayers to attract the best candidates for this office. I don't think it's wise. And quite frankly, we need good people in these positions. And again, I'm not saying I'm that person, but here I sit. So I'm going to vote respectively no, because I think it's an injustice to ensure that we keep good candidates. And it sure is not because I feel as though I need a few more dollars in my pocket. I think we need to keep up with this. We do not need to be the leaders in it, but I do think we need to stay on top of it.
Thank you. Any other discussion?
Commissioner Vagley,
Ward.
you're right. This is always an awkward discussion, and the possibility, and this is a discussion across the country. We're not unique in not getting people to sign up for committees, school boards, township, city councils and everything. It's a trend throughout the country, but maybe we take a pause and sometime during the year and create some kind of little group to analyze, what should be done, and then listen to our colleagues across the country and see if anybody's coming up with any creative way for compensation. I don't have any answers, but yeah, I think we need some guidance somewhere along the line.
Thank you, Commissioner Ward. Commissioner Elsing.
Yeah, I've sat on other board of directors for various different companies, and it's always difficult to figure out, how do you pay yourself? And it's a very awkward thing, especially in the public eye. I'll take the example of Mayor of Altura. It pays $1,300. It's paid the same $1,300 for, I don't even know how long. And then you question, why is it difficult to get people to do the job for what it entails? And if it just continues to get pushed off and off, and it becomes, hey, will you run, rather than, that's what happens. And so one of the things I think that Commissioner Ward is alluding to would be a potential solution to this. And again, I'm not planning on being here forever, but could help set a precedent for the next however long, would be to have a subcommittee that says, hey, we're looking at these things, maybe get the individual input from people. And this is what happens a lot. You get an individual input from every person that sits on the board, and they determine, hey, is there a fair wage that this should be paid? Because if we look back a number of years, I'm sure this was more per diem based. At some point, it probably went to a salary based. There's abuse on per diems. If somebody sits on 5 different committees and somebody chooses not to sit on any committee, but they're all getting paid the same, there's a lot of variation that comes into this. My bigger fear is in 10, 20 years, if this stays the same, from this kind of convoluted or embarrassed thing to say, hey, we need to keep up with wages to keep somebody here, that Winona's in trouble. We can't get good people. So again, maybe I will vote yes this time around. I like the idea of maybe finding a board, but I think we should take a look at that moving forward.
Any other discussion? I am going to also vote, I am going to vote no. Like Commissioner Elsing, this is not something I'm super passionate about. I just think that it's unwise to keep on doing this in forever. At some point, I think it's better to make small incremental changes every couple of years, rather than have to do a large change later on. The average, I'll go with Winona, is $39,000. And even if we were to agree to the 3%, I do not know, but I'm guessing that we'd still be the lowest or still close to the lowest. Because even with the 3%, we'd be at.
We would be
4,009. Yes. Well, these are comparing the 2024 salaries. I don't know if Goodhue County is going to give themselves, but we would either still be the lowest or second lowest as well. So I think it's better to make small incremental changes over time, rather than at some point in the future, when we're all gone, to have some county board face a much more difficult choice of having to look at a $5 or $10 or $15 or $20,000 a bump because different county boards across the state have a wide variety. If you don't know, look at Ramsey and Hennepin County pay, or look at, granted, those are very different sizes and very different, et cetera. But this is one item where I think a small, and when I first was on the board for many years, I argued the opposite of this. I argued for freezes. But that was in 2002, 2003, 2004. So that was 20 years ago. So it's odd for me to suggest this now, but I do think small incremental changes are better than having to stick some future board with a much more difficult choice. Any other discussion? All right, so we'll proceed with the roll call vote. So the proposal is, Commissioner Meyer, correct, option A, which is to keep it at the current salary. Commissioner Ward,
Aye.
Commissioner Elsing,
Nay.
I will vote no. Commissioner Olson,
Aye.
Commissioner Meyer.
Aye.
So the motion passes 3-2, correct? That takes us down to, Commissioner Meyer, you had something, a comment or committee report?
Yes. Our staff don't get a Christmas party. They don't get a bonus. And so last year and the year before, the commissioners, either all of them or some part of them, made a contribution so that for the holiday, we could get our staff a set of meat and cheese trays that would be delivered to everybody. And I'm wondering if the board is interested in that option again?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Okay. I'll coordinate. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you. Is there any other, Commissioner Ward, any other comments or reports?
I will be attending the AMC meeting next week. Look forward to there's a lot of great breakout sessions. Unfortunately, a lot of them, overlap, but expect to bring home some good information from that. Thank you.
That was it, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Just for the public, if I'm wrong, the next meeting will be on a different date. It's going to be on Friday, December 20th, and it'll be a morning meeting starting at 9 a.m. correctly?
Correct.
Okay, so for anyone who's joining us or are following along, because of the holiday and because of the need to set the levy before the end of 2024, we'll have our second meeting then. Any other comments? Is there a motion to adjourn?
So move.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Elson, seconded by Commissioner Olson. Any other discussion? We'll begin the roll call vote. Commissioner Ward.
Aye.
Commissioner Elson.
Aye.
I vote yes. Commissioner Olson. Commissioner Meyer. That convenes what I thought would be a much longer meeting. All right. Good evening, everyone.
When I'm on Zoom, it's much shorter, Commissioner.